a book review. You're like, Anuj, you read? I'm like, yeah, I do. I just started. For those of you that have been watching the Changabi show since the first episode, you know one of the first topics I talked about was reading and being more regular with it. So I actually decided to take that upon myself as a challenge to read more. And that's exactly what I did. So I read a couple of books. The first book I actually read, I reread. It was The Kite Runner. I reread it from high school and I really enjoyed it. And then the second book I picked up and, well, actually bought off Amazon and read is this book called Gloves Off by Lowell Cohn. So you guys might be recognizing that name, right? Cohn. You're like, where is that from? I actually had his son, Grant, on the podcast, episode 9. Go check it out. And I love Grant. Grant is a fantastic sports journalist who covers the 49ers, and we had a great chat about his career and all of the things that he's done. And there's TikTok clips. There's clips of the interview on my TikTok, so go check it out. But his dad wrote this book called Gloves Off, and I've been meaning to get it, and I just haven't found the time or just like really, genuinely been in a space that I feel like I was reading. So I was finally reading again, so I bought this book. And I thought I'd give a little quick review on the book. So short synopsis, it's basically, this book is about 40 years of sports writing. So Grant's dad, Lowell, was also a sports writer like Grant, in an era where sports writing was very different. It wasn't necessarily, I mean, you see Grant do a lot of media content. Of course, he writes articles, but he does a lot of media content and stuff. Lowell was a columnist for the San Francisco Chronicle, most notably, amongst other publications. And he was, first off, a writer. And the way he covered sports, I can tell from this book, was he covered it in a very unique manner. He looked at almost athletes rather than being human beings as like characters in this, show that is the 49ers, or show that is the Raiders, or show that is this boxing match, right? And the way he portrays it in the book is he kind of ties together sort of sports moments that he covered with life stories that he went through, and how those life stories and those sports moments that he covered kind of tie together. It's done really, really nicely. Even for people who aren't necessarily like big sports fans, there's a lot of athletes that I didn't know in this book, right? I'm a pretty big sports fan. I do know a lot of stuff about the 49ers and the Warriors, a little bit about the Giants, but not too much. But there's a lot of athletes that I didn't even know in this book because they come from a different era. I didn't grow up in the 80s and the 90s and the 70s even. And I felt like I knew them by the end of reading this book. The book is written in vignettes, almost is the way I describe it. It's almost like 61 chapters long, but don't let that confuse you, because the chapters are literally like, some of them are like a half a page, right? They go like a half a page to like 6 or 7 pages, I think is the longest. So they're pretty short chapters. And for like someone who's like an ADHD reader, kind of like me, that's like, you need to grab my attention quickly, otherwise I lose interest. Like, this book is perfect for you, right? Because right as you're getting into a part of the story, oh, it's done. You're moving on to the next thing. You're moving on to the next thing. And I feel like it goes everywhere, but it's done really nicely, and it covers all of these cool themes. I feel like it covers life themes, but it also covers themes about sports, which is awesome. So I'm a big fan of that. And I think the part I like the most about the book is that every character, like when I'm talking about athlete or Lowell himself narrating, is kind of flawed in their own way. And it's kind of Lowell's perspective taking you through these interactions, taking you through these sort of like life moments that he's gone through in these locker rooms and has been a part of really nicely. Like, it just, everything ties together just so well. It's really cool. Like, I I think this is, it's hard to describe the way this book is written, because it's so much, it's a little bit of everything, is I think the best way to say it. I think I went in expecting like I've read a couple sports books before, and I was fully expecting like the whole, like, okay, he's just going to detail the career of a couple players and maybe tell a couple personal stories about press conferences and whatnot, and that's going to be it. But no, this book was way more than that, because I think it tied in. You could tell Lowell is well read, because you read this book and you see how many like classic novels he's able to tie into his various stories, and that's really cool. And I'm just a big fan of it. The way it's written is just it's a very digestible book. It's a very approachable book. Even if you don't know sports, I would highly recommend this book. It's a very good read. 5 out of 5. That's my review. I want to see another book by Lowell Cohn, but Gloves Off by Lowell Cohn. Go buy it. It's on Amazon. It's also relatively affordable for those of you that are broke like me. Go ahead, buy this book. It's fantastic. Highly recommend. Go check it out. And yeah, that's my review of Gloves Off by Lowell Cohn.